This is what life's supposed to be like. All that shit that we was sold in America, you gotta get your credit score up, bro. You gotta get your credit score. Ain't no such thing as credit score down here. Ain't no such thing as three times the rent down here. Ain't no such thing as let me see your job. What your job paying down here? Ain't no such thing as, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you need a car down here. You don't need no car. Ain't no such thing as like all this shit might rent $2,000-$3,000 just to stay in a motherfucking box. And nigga, I stay $700 USD. You know what I'm saying? My electricity is like $20, nigga. My Wi-Fi like $10. My Netflix is $8. My Prime is $6. May I go on? You know what I'm saying? This is how living an American dream is supposed to be. It's outside of America. America, we got a lot of opportunities, but it's like, nigga, you make $10,000, but your bill's $9,500. So who really winning? You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be able to enjoy our lives, enjoy the fruits of our labor. A lot of people ain't enjoying the fruits of their labor. A lot of motherfuckers is working every single day, getting up, chasing them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is why life overseas is a life for me. And it can be a life for you too if you just lock in. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good Dr. Mike TV back again. Once again, you should always know and understand that this one is poised to be an instant classic in the making. If this is by far your first time to the Dr. Mike TV experience, make sure you subscribe and notify and do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the good that's content. International Passport Association hoodie. All my stuff should be linked below this particular YouTube video. First things first, let me say this. I have in the past, but I'm never going to do it again. But I will never shit on a life in the United States, okay? The United States has provided me opportunity, much like many of us and many of you, to be able to get to this US dollar, to be able to do with it as we please. But in this particular video, this brother brings up some very, very, very key and crucial points about what a life is like in the United States versus a life where it looked like he was in Thailand, right? A life overseas. And there's such drastic differences that if you haven't experienced it yet and you do, you will probably feel the exact same way that this young man was feeling. All right, let's talk about life here in the States. This is where I'm currently at right now. I love it. I can't complain. I live in a good city, very small town city. My cost of living is relatively low. I make pretty decent money with what I do, and I can't really complain. But on the opposite end of that, there are a lot of people who struggle to live day to day in the United States. They are check to check. Like my man says, you can make $10,000 a month and be spending $9,550 a month, which ain't really leaving you with much left over to be able to enjoy your life. And this is true because the cost of living in the United States, no matter where you are, can be extremely high if you don't know how to manage it and handle it. And because we're so bombarded with the marketing of telling you these are the things that you need in your life, you can't become brainwashed, right? And my background is a marketing major and I see it everywhere. There's always this constant need to want to buy, level up, keep up with certain type of people. And that's the way that they've kind of marketed the idea of people getting more, buying more, having more, and doing more, and not necessarily saving more, right? That's not really a concept. Or, you know, investing more. That's not really a concept that is preached amongst the masses. We are consumers by nature. I fall victim to that no different than anybody else. I've just gotten a little bit smarter about it, and I pray you guys do too. But life in the United States is pretty much a consumerist vibe, right? Buy this, get this, have this, more of this, make more money, spend more money, right? But if you do go overseas and you do buy into the concept of a life overseas, you'll realize that a lot of the stuff that you value or put value in or put stock in is not as important as you actually thought that it was, right? Having the big house or the nice condo, the nice car, living in the greatest neighborhoods, you know, buying all of the fancy luxury branded items and all of that stuff, you'll realize that that shit is probably not as important as you think it is when you do subscribe to living and being a part of a life overseas. This young man pretty much said, yo, we've been brainwashed here in the United States. And to an extent, I have to agree with him. There's a lot of things that, you know, people fall victim to on a day-to-day basis. And you'll never know what there is out there for you if you've never given it a chance, right? So a lot of people, they'll talk shit about why you shouldn't go overseas or why you shouldn't do this, and they'll be comfortable where they're from and they won't leave or they won't do any of this stuff, and they'll never know the difference or be able to compare the two. Luckily for myself, I have lived a life overseas. Philippines, 10 years of my life, and then I visited a couple of other places as well. But for the most part, that was my bread and butter. That was where I stood 10 toes down. That's where I loved, right? That was my second home, and that will always be my second home. So I know exactly what he means. Cost of living overseas is so different than that in the United States. My man was comparing, housing, right? He got a 700 USD, I guess, apartment that he's living in. I'm assuming that's what it was. Comparing that to the $2,300 apartment in the United States. And you've seen a lot of videos. If you haven't come across these videos, all you have to do is look, and you'll see the luxury condos overseas can kind of measure up and live up to the standards of some of the condos that you'll get in the United States for way more than half the price, right? $2,200, $2,300 in the United States on average. Overseas average $500-$700, right? $500 to $700 USD. And they're in good neighborhoods or good areas, and there's a lot going on if you choose the apartment, of course, the apartment way of life. A lot going on in the area that you're typically in. So you'll realize on that front, you're not really sacrificing a lot on that end. Food costs, like you said, his internet and his Netflix and all of that stuff. I remember I had a Netflix account in the Philippines. I paid, I kid you not, 250 pesos, roughly about $5, right? So he's not lying. My Netflix account before I had to redo it and I had to, purchase it here in the United States, that was about how much I paid, like $5-6, man. So he's on par with that. All of the things that cost a lot of money in the United States just does not cost the same overseas. And in some instances, you're getting the same value, or what I would consider the same bang for your buck. So while a lot of people are so locked in and so enamored with the idea of saying, yo, man, the United States is it, it's the best country on planet Earth, this is where I want to be at, fuck everywhere else, man. If you're not 10 toes down for the US, you ain't shit. People that want to have that energy towards people who choose to want to live a life overseas. The way I look at it is, man, that passport is giving me an opportunity to see things that other people may not have seen. So why not take advantage of the opportunity of utilizing your passport to go see places and do a couple little traveling if you can, right? Because at least it gives you an opportunity to see what this person is talking about, as opposed to, I saw some comments where people weren't really vibing with what he had to say, right? But at the same time, if you haven't experienced yourself, how can you exactly say, no, he's wrong, or this ain't right, this ain't him, this ain't the United States, or oh, he's living in this area over here, whatever, the ghetto or whatever, it's random nonsense, because you can live in a good area for real cheap. He's in Thailand, Philippines, damn near the same. Some people put Thailand over the Philippines. I'll take their word for it. I'd probably say Philippines over Thailand, but if I ever go to Thailand, and I do plan on doing that soon, I may have a different approach. But because I know the Philippines and because I know cost of living, and things have gotten a little bit expensive over time, but never to the point where it's on par with that of the United States, right? And so when you realize, outside of the fact that, all the luxury brands that you buy, that stuff don't really mean that much overseas. Yes, some people are going to recognize it because it is still a brand that's recognizable. It's just not as important, right? The Gucci brands, your Balenciagas, if that's what's important to you, your Yeezys, right? That shit is important to people. But when you go overseas and you realize people ain't checking for you because of that, most times they're just checking you or checking for you because of who you are and where you're from, then you realize, why do I need all this extra stuff? Because if you really want to know the truth, the only reason guys, and I'm speaking to my gentlemen, I can't speak for the ladies, but I'm sure it's roughly about the same. But the only reason you gentlemen buy the nice cars, to have the nice houses, and wear all the branded clothes is for these hoes, for these young ladies. It's for these women. That's what you're doing it for. But when you realize you go overseas, and I'm kind of sure, and I'm putting it out there on a limb, that you guys are probably trying to get ladies over there too, in these foreign countries, let's call it for what it is. When you realize that ain't the reason they checking for you, all that shit becomes irrelevant, because they're not checking for you because of that. They're not looking at you with what you're wearing and looking at you like a status symbol because of what you're wearing. It's usually typically where you're from that gives you all the status you'll ever need. Okay? Let me say that one more time for all my people in the nosebleeds. It's not what you wear, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna make you the status symbol in these foreign countries. It's just the fact of knowing where you're from that's gonna give you that status symbol, right? And I need y'all to take that one and, do something with it, all right? If you ain't got your passport, man, don't play games with it. Give yourself an opportunity to see something before you just decide that it's not for you, okay? That's my time, effort, and energy. Appreciate the show, man, for this video. Man, good dice on to the next one, man. Y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc is out. Peace.